Hello chess enthusiasts! This is a game from round 3 of the Lindores Abbey Rapid Challenge, May 2020. Hikaru Nakamura has the white pieces and Alireza Firouzja the black pieces. Hikaru starts d4 and Firouzja responds knight f6. Then knight f3, d5 and e3 the Colle system. White is delaying the c4 advance until later in the game. We have some developing moves, both sides castle kingside, and fianchetto their bishops queenside. White plays knight b to d2, coordinating another piece and preparing the c4 advance. Black goes for it themselves with c5, and white plays a prophylactic move, a3. It stops the occupation of the b4 square by a minor piece. Just as an example, white will eventually want to play queen c2, lining up a battery towards the queen side. But if knight b4 is allowed, white will have to part way with their light squared bishop, which is a huge concession. Next is knight c6, which is an inaccuracy because the knight has no jumping points from c6 and it's also in the way of the bishop. It may have been better to play knight b to d7 with rook c8 incoming. Now pawn takes c5 and c4 with the idea that if black captures on c4, the c5 pawn is a weakness that white can blockade and eventually target with a move like rook c1. Instead, black plays a5, probing for weaknesses on the queen side. Then pawn takes d5, a recapture, and black has the hanging pawn structure, exemplified by a pawn island of c and d pawns on half-open files. That is, they are not opposed by white pawns. They can be a structural weakness, but also exert influence over the center. If black can successfully advance them, it can open lines for an attack on the king. We see queen c2, a4, rook a to d1, and with pawn takes b3, black is creating counterplay on the queen side. The knight recaptures, and here the best move for black is c4. White would take on c4, utilizing the pin on the queen, and black does win the pawn back on a3. What we are left with is a position where white is slightly better because of the isolated d5 pawn, but there are good drawing chances for black since all the pawns are on one side of the board, the king side. Instead, we had queen b6, a mistake. Black takes on f6, removing the defender of h7, and to make things worse, recapturing with the bishop is completely losing, because white wins not one, but 2 pawns. There are also many threats like knight d7 with the fork on rook and queen, and rook b1 with the skewer. So black takes with the pawn and white snatches h7 with check, then plays knight h4, planning to go to f5 and reroute the queen to e2 and h5. Firouzja tries to create counterplay, but a brutal kingside attack is brewing, and after queen h5, black resigns. Checkmate is inevitable, and this is one of the ways. I hope you enjoyed this game. Subscribe for more.